This is a door to another world. There's nothing behind it, but when the male lead accidentally opens it, he discovers it leads to an alternate dimension. He just steps inside and encounters a terrifying skeleton monster, scaring him so much that he runs, quickly closing the door. Then, the door disappears, and a voice rings out. Congratulations, human. You have awakened the ability of the refinement world. The male lead is utterly stunned. He looks around but can't find the speaker until the voice speaks again. Don't be nervous. I'm trapped in another world, and I am communicating with you through thought. Listen, the interdimensional communication time is limited. If you don't want to die, do as I say. To protect himself, the male lead opens his backpack as instructed and takes out a statue. The voice tells him, this is the cursed statue of the king of 10,000 evils. Someone deliberately placed it near you to curse you, kill you, and steal your soul. But you survived. A rush of memories is now flooding into your mind. It turns out the original owner of this body was a middle school student named Shinji. His soul had already been cursed to death by the statue. The male lead, who died from overwork in his previous life, had his soul transmigrate from Earth and seamlessly take over this body. The voice continues, human, once the curse fails to kill you, it will turn around and grant you the power it has accumulated from stealing souls for millions of years. Now, summon the door again. As he speaks, the statue turns to dust, and the door reappears. The voice tells him, this door now belongs to you. You now have the ability to link worlds. And the world you entered today is called the Nightmare World. The voice then says he is trapped deep within the Nightmare World. He asks the male lead to save him, reminding him not to die before then. Because the person who used the cursed statue against the male lead will definitely send people to kill him again once they find out he's still alive. After that, the voice completely disappears. The male lead's expression is grave. He didn't expect to be facing assassination right after transmigrating. But after searching Shinye's memories, he couldn't find out who wanted to kill him. Just then, a prompt appears on the door. Due to your polite behavior upon entering the door last time, you have earned the evaluation trait, Polite Person. Polite Person, Great Trait, Fragmented. Equipping this trait grants you the following bonus. When you act politely, people's impression of you will be slightly better. The male lead is taken aback. This seems to be an akeepable passive skill. Immediately, he gets an idea. Enter the door and see if he can gain new traits. He gently opens the door and carefully steps inside. As soon as he enters, the skeleton is already staring at him. He introduces himself very politely. Hello, my name is Shinji. The skeleton looks at him, unresponsive. The male lead feels like the trait might be working, so he continues. I'm so sorry for disturbing your meal earlier. I actually wanted to make friends with you. Before he can finish, the skeleton swipes at him with a claw. The male lead narrowly avoids it by stepping back. He yells, don't be so violent. I just wanted to communicate with you. The next moment, the skeleton shatters the door with a claw, and the male lead falls out of the doorway. Luckily, the door disappears as soon as it's destroyed. He is excited to see what trait he might earn this time, but a prompt appears. Evaluation traits can only be obtained once per day, so his attempt to exploit a bug has failed. Afterward, he summons the world door again. Assassins could come at any moment, so he doesn't have time to waste. He opens the door with a professional sales smile. Sorry, I'm back again. The door is bitten to pieces by the skeleton. The next moment, the male lead enters again from another side. It's no use. You can't eat me. I can travel freely between two worlds. Let's have a good chat, okay? The skeleton isn't stupid. It realizes the male lead is telling the truth, so it chooses to turn and leave. The male lead immediately gets anxious. You're injured, right? When you were eating people, the broken part of your left arm was slowly growing new bone. Not just your left arm is injured. Your skull, ribs, spine, etc. all have multiple injuries. The skeleton actually stops at these words. The male lead quickly takes out his phone. Although I can't let you eat me, our world has a lot of things that are good for your bones to eat, like this calcium supplement, which is specifically for treating bones. There are also many other supplements that are much more nutritious than me. If we're friends, I can buy them for you. After all, we have an old saying over there. A friend will go to any length to help. Besides, buying some calcium supplements isn't that big of a deal. Of course, if it were you, I think any length is no problem, right? The male lead waits anxiously for the skeleton's reply, but the skeleton directly condenses a purple light orb, scaring the male lead into immediately hiding behind the door. As a result, a contract appears in front of him. Oh, it's a contract. You scared me. You have received a contract. Signatory, Mother of the Gloomy Sea Valley, Ghoul King, Battlefield Stowage Officer. The male lead is speechless. So long. Turns out it's just a small fry. Then there's the contract content, equal exchange, and a long string of perfunctory terms. The skeleton says, "Human, I hope you can help me restore my power. I never signed contracts with beings other than gods, so you better understand the value of this contract. This is a fair contract. Both parties can cancel this contract at any time if they are dissatisfied." The male lead signs his name without hesitation, Shinyi. Then his signature introduction is automatically generated below, the human who conquered the curse of the King of 10,000 Evils. The nightmare contract is completed. The two parties have entered a contract relationship. The next day, his parents pick him up from the hospital and buy him many supplements. In his previous life, he was an orphan. His parents' care makes him feel something special. At this moment, there is a knock on the door. Two police officers come in. After asking the male lead about the situation, they express their apologies. Similar things happen every year, and the police can't do anything. They reassure the male lead that it's good, he's okay. But only the male lead knows that the original Shinyi is long dead. But he can only complain about it. The young police officer who hasn't spoken finally speaks. "Shin, I know you have emotions, but I want to tell you something. The higher-ups have already approved it. That hospital will soon be abandoned, and no one will be allowed to enter it again. Don't worry, there won't be any new victims." Looking at the 3 stars on the police badge, the male lead is surprised. He's a police chief, so young. Then he says, "Thank you for telling me this. I'm just afraid that someone wants to deal with." The police chief replies, "You're just a middle school student with very simple social relationships. We haven't found that you have such enemies." Then the two leave. Through this conversation, the male lead sees that the curse of the King of 10,000 Evils is a very high level. Not only can the police not handle it, but even the government finds it difficult to deal with. But he can't figure out how Shinyi is just an ordinary middle school student. Who would use such a powerful thing against him? After a while, the young police chief comes back. He hands the male lead a business card and tells the male lead to call him directly if something is wrong. The male lead looks at the name on the business card and falls into deep thought. Police Chief Luo Feichuan. Can I trust him? Or rather, can he help me? It looks like he didn't follow the instructions from above. But what can a small police chief do when things that even the police and the government can't handle? What's more, now that everyone knows I'm still alive, the killer will definitely not let it go. It might even involve my family. Thinking of this, the male lead no longer hesitates. He waves his hand. "Door, come." He must first make himself stronger. He opens the door, revealing a professional-level sales smile. "Big Skeleton, are you there?" A few seconds later, the skeleton appears. "Here's the calcium supplement you wanted. I brought it for you." But the skeleton points to something in his pocket. "This. I don't want. You want this." As he speaks, a ball of green light appears in the skeleton's hand, then condenses into a green crystal. The other party craves the more effective big supplement in your hand. As a battlefield stowage officer, he has collected some spoils of war from the war and selected this relic of an enemy soldier, wanting to exchange it for your big supplement. This is a primary nightmare crystal, an item made by the High Elves, the skeleton's former enemy, that can directly instill certain knowledge, skills, intelligence, etc. into the user. The male lead takes the crystal and examines it. It's actually a crystal that can acquire skills. As the crystal is crushed and used, a burst of energy instantly floods into his body. You have learned the Moonlit Road. Moonlit Road, the main movement technique of the Elven soldiers. This movement technique allows the user to dodge, dash, and sideslip. The male lead didn't expect that in Big Supplement would be exchanged for the Elven movement technique. Now he finally has some basic self-defense ability. On the other side, Big Supplements continue to fly out of the bag and gather into the skeleton's hands. Then he disappears into the darkness to digest it. The male lead complains, "You're still so shy when you eat." He closes the door, intending to study the Moonlit Road movement technique first. A prompt pops up, Moonlit Road movement technique. The first part is dodging, which requires agility, 3 points. Evaluating your physical fitness. Your agility is 2. You are still 1 point of agility away from using dodging. The male lead laments, "This is really like a game. How can I increase my agility?" A figure is hanging upside down outside the window. "I didn't expect you to still be alive. Let me see what you're capable of." As he speaks, the man in black rushes towards him. Luckily, he dodges in time and activates the polite person trait effect on the other party. Hello, sir. May I ask what you want from me? However, the other party is not affected and continues to attack him. He reads the system prompt to realize that the skills and equipment of the nightmare world have levels. Gray fragmented, white ordinary, green excellent, blue outstanding, purple 1 in a million. His polite person trait is the lowest level of gray, so it's only effective sometimes. At this time, the man in black has already used a weapon. The male lead is shocked. His agility is still 1 point short, so he can't use the moonlit road. At this time, the system reminds him that devouring traits can obtain attribute points. The male lead quickly chooses to devour the polite person trait. The next second, he gains 1 attribute point and quickly adds it to agility. Moonlit road, first form, dodge, can be used. The male lead exerts force from under his feet. With a dodge, he avoids the attack of the man in black. Then he summons the world door and flashes into it. Seeing this, the man in black also chases in. But after coming in, he is stunned. In front of him is a bottomless abyss. The male lead appears behind him. Goodbye, killer. Just as the man in black is about to attack, the door closes. What appears next is a huge skull. The killer is bitten by the skeleton, followed by the sound of crunching and chewing. Soon after, the skeleton's arm grows a large segment. The male lead leans against the wall, panting heavily. That was really too dangerous. There will probably be more assassins coming to his door in the future. I need to get some self-protection ability as soon as possible. At this moment, a contract appears out of thin air. Your sacrifice of living things has satisfied the other party. Following the principle of equal exchange, the other party has taken out the exchange items and the contract has been approved. So the male lead obtained the Crown of Pale Shadows and the Silver War Badge, and both are green quality. The Crown of Pale Shadows is carefully crafted by the undead. Anyone who wears it can disguise themselves as an elven life form. The Silver War Badge is a symbol of elven powers, battle merit, and honor. Only soldiers who have made great achievements can wear this medal, which can teleport to the territory of the elves. The male lead tries to put on the Crown of Pale Shadows. The next moment, he turns into a handsome elven man. Looking at the text in his phone, he suddenly has an evil idea. Find an opportunity to go to the elven territory and loot it well. But the knock on the door interrupted his fantasy. Could it be another assassin? An anxious voice comes from outside the door. Yigu, are you there? I'm Chenhaoyu. The male lead changes back to his original appearance and goes over. Chenhaoyu is Xinye's close friend. Xinye went to the hospital to visit him before the accident happened. After opening the door, Chenhaoyu hugs the male lead. Yigu, I was so worried about you. He sobs. I'm sorry, it's all because of me. I caused you such a big problem. Just then, Xinye's mother returns. Xiaoyi, Haoyu, what is this? The male lead glances outside the door. Where's Dad? Your dad went to find your grandpa, trying to get you some more supplements. Chenhaoyu is shocked when he hears about the supplements. That stuff is so rare. Even rich people can't get it. Your family hides it so well. Then he talks about the middle school entrance exam. The male lead then remembers that the original owner is a middle school student who is currently experiencing a major middle school entrance exam, and Xinye missed the first exam due to what happened last night. Chenhaoyu immediately feels guilty. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, with your first-place grades, you would definitely be able to get into a key high school. The mother quickly comforts him. Don't blame yourself, Haoyu. Although Xiaoyu missed the first strength test, as long as he does well in the second agility test, he can still get into an ordinary high school. The male lead then remembers that the middle school entrance exam in this world is different from Earth. In addition to academic subjects, the strength and agility of the human body must also be tested. But he also thinks that he is now being hunted down, and going to school is equivalent to exposing himself to danger. He hesitates whether to give up the exam. The mother sees his tangled expression and hugs him in her arms, her gentle voice ringing in his ears. Xiaoyi, if you don't want to take the exam, that's okay. We just hope you're healthy and safe. The male lead is touched. This is the warmth he has never felt as an orphan in his previous life. He laughs. Don't worry, Mom. Don't you know my strength? He has already made a decision. If I say I want to give up the exam, my mother will definitely agree, but I can't do that. Xinye's memories are constantly flooding into my mind. His grandfather seems to have a lot of influence, and the family he belongs to has a wide range of resources. However, the relationship between his parents and his grandfather and family is very bad. His parents have never sought help from his grandfather, and the two live by their own efforts. Although their family is ordinary, it is still passable, so they definitely can't afford that big supplement. It must have been painstakingly begged from their grandfather, or even begged in shame. Their son, Shinyi, has been cursed to death. Then I am their son. I can't let their efforts go to waste. The next day, the male lead comes to school. Different subjects are placed on the desk: body, strength training, mental power, enlightenment. The subjects in this world are really different, he thinks while flipping through the books. There are so many people in the school, presumably the killer will not act in public. If I can get into a good high school, there should be more powerful teachers there to protect me. At this moment, a classmate finds him. Shinyi, Xiaobing is looking for you, in the corridor. Soon after, the male lead sees a girl in the corridor. Xiaobing, he remembers that she is Shinye's friend. She used to pester Shinyi every day to discuss learning. Xiaobing, you're looking for me? The girl turns her face and says, I heard you came back from the exam. I did well in the first exam, and I'm confident about the rest, so I should be able to get into a key provincial school. Oh, why are you telling me this? Out of politeness, she still congratulates him. Xiaobing finally says what she wants to say. I want to say, don't come looking for me in the future. The male lead is bewildered. The surrounding students are eating popcorn, gossiping, and joking about Xiaobing breaking up with Shinyi. Xiaobing continues, Shinyi, we're going to have different paths to take in the future, but sooner or later we'll lose common ground due to differences in class, so don't continue to develop. But we can still be friends. I've already deleted my contact information. I hope you can have a good life in the future. The male lead instantly understands. Originally, she was the top student in the grade, and this girl had been pestering him. Now that he has become a dropout after missing one subject due to an accident, this girl wants to break away from him. But she's not the original Shinyi anymore. He picks his ear. I remember that you've been coming to our class to find me all these years. I've never taken the initiative to find you, right? Xiaobing, I never wanted to be friends with you. The exam is coming up, and I hope you'll do what you say and don't pester me in the future, affecting my review. The crowd immediately started buzzing with gossip. Shinyi used to be number one in the grade, and Xiaobing would cling to him, right? But now that Shinyi failed one exam, she's publicly drawing a line? That's just, wow. Xiaobing immediately blushed. Her best friend quickly chimed in. Wait a minute. Bing has given you so many gifts. How can you talk to her like that? Shinyi, you're so disappointing. At that moment, Xiaobing also conveniently shed some tears. Shinyi, I thought we were friends. The male protagonist was about to laugh out loud in anger. Playing the victim, huh? Not letting me leave. It seems like you're determined to step all over me. But you're underestimating my skills as a gold-level salesman. Xiaobing, I accepted your gifts, but accepting gifts doesn't mean I have to accept you. The onlookers were impressed. Using magic to defeat magic, the male protagonist turned around and continued to stab. If you were really doing it for my own good, you wouldn't try to tie me down with gifts. I'm entitled to pursue someone better, right? I have nothing to say to you. If you want your gifts back, I'll compensate you. But don't you dare fantasize about being friends with me. The campus belle's best friend cursed the male protagonist as a jerk. The onlookers also said the male protagonist was too cruel, that she had genuine affection for him, but he was betraying her. Only Xiaobing was trying to excuse him, thinking, how is he going to face people after this? Just then, a tall man blocked the male protagonist's path. Your son Ming, the third in the grade. What do you want? Shinyi, your information is outdated. My strength has greatly increased. You're no longer number one in the grade. If you don't want to break a few bones, apologize to Bing right now. The male protagonist feigned helplessness, saying it was Xiaobing who was clinging to him, but he still turned around and apologized to Xiaobing. Sorry, you win. Xiaobing, you can continue to harass me. Are you satisfied now? After saying that, he ran away like a wronged girl. Everyone was dumbfounded. The tables had been turned again. Xiaobing frantically shouted, Wait a minute. That's not what I meant. Don't listen to Sun Ming. Sun Ming, realizing he'd been played, flew into a rage and attacked. You little brat. I'm going to teach you a lesson. Just as his fist was about to hit the male protagonist flipped backwards, dodging the punch. Then he did another flip, landing steadily behind Sun Ming. The crowd gasped. Did you see that? What was that? That speed. I feel like he's even more agile than before. That movement technique was the moonlight path that the male protagonist had just learned. At that moment, A teacher suddenly shouted, "What are you all doing here? The mock exam is about to start. Hurry up and gather at the playground." Then everyone headed to the testing grounds. Shin Haoyu found the male protagonist, who was warming up, and said the queue for the test was very long. There was a comic shop that opened behind the school. Did he want to go check it out first? Shin Haoyu's reminder was timely. He hadn't gotten his daily perk yet. He could use this time to get it. He pretended to have a stomachache and went to the bathroom, asking Shin Haoyu to hold his place in line. Soon after, he ran into the bathroom, and a man in black followed him in. However, when he came in, he found that there was no one in the toilet at all, because the male protagonist had already entered the Jie gate and transformed into an elf. He was looking for the figure of the great skeleton in the aisle. But he didn't find it, but found a pistol, which was left by the killer last time, and there was a bullet, just to be used in the elven territory for self-defense. Take out the silver badge and use it, and a teleportation array appeared under his feet. The next moment, he was teleported to the elven territory. At this moment, someone shouted from behind, "Who was there?" and 3 elves came out of the grass. "Farron, why are you here? Could it be that the elf I disguised myself as is called Farron?" And then he realized. These people are all undead, colleagues of the great skeleton. They disguised themselves as elves and planned to assassinate the elf leader tonight. The leader looked at the male protagonist. "Farron, are you ready?" The male protagonist supported him. The pale shadow crown cannot be moved around casually. If the identity is exposed, we will all die. Hi, it's a little itchy. I'm just fine-tuning the position. And then a few people hurried to the elven village. When night fell, they finally arrived at the village. One of them asked the male protagonist to assassinate the leader at night. The male protagonist was stunned on the spot. Go kill that leader." 3 people looked at each other. "Yes, what's wrong? Do you want to go back on your word?" The male protagonist immediately licked his knife and said, "Go back on your word. How is it possible? My knife has long been hungry and thirsty, so let me take care of this task," and my teammates immediately gave him a thumbs up. The male protagonist was sweating profusely. Damn it, if he dared to say no, I'm afraid he would be killed by these undead on the spot. Then they showed the silver medal to the guard, and they entered the elves smoothly. As soon as they came in, they saw other elves, and the young female elves made the male protagonist feast his eyes, and soon the male protagonist was taken outside the leader's gate, and his companion told him that he would wait outside. Waiting for him, the male protagonist knew that this was to prevent him from escaping, and as the door opened, the male protagonist came in and saw a man reading a book. Sensing that the male protagonist came in, he closed the book. Looking at the male protagonist, "Welcome, warrior from the front," the male protagonist was shocked by what he saw. Your door has its own evaluation entry ability, so you can see the entries owned by other existences. I saw 6 major entries surrounding the other party: the spirit of 10,000 monks, the heir of the ancient tree throne, natural lord with 100 million enemies, archmage, guardian of the nightmare realm, thing of the world's head. And on the male protagonist's head, there is only one funny polite person entry. In comparison, he couldn't hold back. "Let me assassinate the leader. I assassinated a fart. I'm just a polite person. These undead are going to kill. It's me." Fortunately, the leader let him go to dinner after seeing him. A teleportation array appeared under the male protagonist's feet. In the next moment, he was teleported to the dining table seat. Several companions told him to eat something first. Things rest for a while before doing anything. The male protagonist knows that he will die if this continues, and he must find a way to do something. An elf girl finds the male protagonist. "Uncle, can I ask you to dance?" The male protagonist looked at the girl. "Lu is indeed younger than me, but you don't need to call me uncle." But he still agreed, so the two danced. Looking at the happy expression of Miss Elf, the male protagonist thought, "It's a pity. If it weren't for these bad things, it would be great to sing and dance with such an elf girl." After the dance, Miss Elf saw that the male protagonist had something on his mind and asked him what was wrong. The male protagonist asked about the elf's name. The elf girl called herself Lanny, and then the male protagonist said that he was going to perform a magic trick as a thank you for Lanny's invitation to dance, and Lanny also sent a bracelet as a gift. The male protagonist went on stage, telling everyone that he was going to perform a magic trick. The name of the magic trick was turning people into living people. He could turn himself into a human, and Lanny jumped up excitedly. "Good Lord, hurry up and change. I'm already looking forward to it." And his 3 undead accomplices were a little confused. What is this guy doing? As the male protagonist reached for the fluorescent crown on his forehead, the next moment he turned into a human and the fluorescent crown flew too. Lanny on the stage, dedicated to you, beautiful Miss Lanny. And then there was a burst of cheers from the audience. And what the male protagonist said next was even more amazing. That's right, I can become a human because I took off that crown, and my 3 brothers can also do this magic trick. As long as they take off the crowns they are wearing, they will become undead. As soon as the words came out, the elves surrounded the 3 of them, and a door appeared behind the male protagonist. After my 3 brothers have all changed, I will come back soon. Goodbye. Yes, Miss Lanny. Then the whole door disappeared, and Lanny watched all this. Will she come back? The next moment, countless vines bound the 3 undead, and a figure appeared on the scene, which was the elf. The leader of the tribe wants to infiltrate my village, but he didn't expect that the human race had already infiltrated your team and even dominated your mission. How ironic. The undead still wanted to quibble, is there? Some misunderstandings, we have badges, but as the crown was taken off, she showed her original appearance. The elf leader sighed, this crown carries advanced shadow spells from the dark abyss, which is still constant. Indeed, it was beyond my expectation that spies from the undead tribe had infiltrated all the villages. With this food, you can find her weakness and counter it. Human kid, I owe you one this time. On the other side, the male protagonist returned to the secret passage when he happened to see the great skeleton. When he came up, he gave him a scolding. Smelly skeleton, I'm fighting to the death in the elven territory, but you're here enjoying yourself. And the skeleton was startled. You're still alive. And then the male protagonist realized that the skeleton can talk. You cheap ghost. Things deliberately gave me that pale shadow crown to send me to death, right? The skeleton quickly asked, how did you survive? Tell me the detailed process, and I am willing to pay the reward. He said, it's not a matter of reward now, but you almost killed me. I am a vengeful person, and then a contract appeared in front of him. The other party was very sincere, in line with the principle of equivalent exchange. In order to prepare a powerful undead spell for you, the value of the spell, the male protagonist cursed, thinking that taking out a little something could buy me off. You are insulting my personality, the great skeleton Jian. Zhuang took out a crystal. The reason why he gave you the pale shadow crown is because you are human. The elves and humans are allies. You still have a chance to live. If I go, my only end will be one death. To show my apology, the other party has surpassed the principle of equivalent exchange and decided to give you a Legacy Nightmare Crystal. The Legacy Nightmare Crystal reserves 3 top-level evolutionary undead talents. You can choose one from it and integrate it into your soul so that you have its ability, the Great Skeleton explained. The so-called talent is a personal trait that can be successfully cast without consuming any power. The Legacy Nightmare Crystal is the foundation of the undead, and it is extremely precious. The reason why I can survive after being injured is because they want to get this crystal and the legacy of talent in it. So they have not done anything to me, ha 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 ha. They must not have thought that I would give it to a human. The male protagonist blushed. But I am a principled person, but you are so sincere. I will forgive you this time, but please remember, there will be no next time. Then, an undead lord sitting on the throne appeared in front of him. The first ability is called Dark Hell. Elementary, purifiable, based on corpses. Kings must respond to your call, crawl up from hell and tell them what they know truthfully, so that their souls will be at peace. Death is the most profound education. The second ability is called the Holy Bone Body. Primary, purifiable. Any force that can kill you will forcibly transform your body into the Holy Bone Body, temporarily not subject to any death fate, lasting for 5 seconds, and can take effect again after 1 day. Those who want to control your life and death will not end well. The third one is called Undead Resurrection, beginner level, purifiable. It creates a ball of soul fire and places it on a fallen undead. The soul fire will fuse with the corpse, resurrecting it. There are many types of resurrection spells, but this is an extremely clever one, a fundamental arcane art that can revive the undead, the very foundation of the undead. The male lead pondered, undead resurrection is useless to me now. Holy Corpse Body can evade for 5 seconds, seemingly invincible, but what about after 5 seconds? I'll still die. But Nether Hell, seemingly useless, is exactly what I need right now. Gathering intelligence is the only way to quickly find the guys who want to kill me. So the male lead resolutely chose Nether Hell. A light entered his body, and the male lead gained this ability. The giant skeleton was surprised. You actually chose this? What? Is there something wrong with it? Not really, but it can't quickly form combat power. In my memory, the past undead lords all chose the third one. A tiny few chose the second one, but no one chose him. Then the male lead fulfilled his promise and recounted how he came back alive from the elven race. The giant skeleton was terrified after listening. Originally, the target we were supposed to assassinate was a female elven priestess, but the man you just mentioned should be the strongest high priest of the elven race. The male lead realized, no wonder that guy's presence was so high. One person had 6 entries. The giant skeleton snorted coldly. The 3 nightmare knights of the undead race have been captured by the elves. They can no longer monitor and threaten me. This is my only chance. After saying that, he turned and left. The male lead didn't understand what he was going to do, so he had to exit the sword gate. Just then, he obtained the evaluation entry for this door opening. One of us, a green entry, excellent. Equip this evaluation entry and you gain the following buffs. When you tell a target that you are one of us, they will treat you as one of their own for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, the target will forget everything that just happened. This entry can only be used once a day. The target's total attributes cannot exceed yours by more than 2 times, otherwise, they may resist the entry. The male lead looked at this green entry and felt it was much stronger than polite person. You have obtained the Blessing of Nature bracelet, a green, excellent item. Quality, rare. Wearing this bracelet can slowly increase your mental strength. The male lead then remembered that this was a gift from the elven girl named Lanny. Then he walked towards the playground. It should be almost time for his test. On the playground, Haoyu was undergoing physical fitness testing. The test began, and liquid was constantly spraying from the ground. Haoyu could dodge at first, but soon he got splashed in the face. Haoyu, 71 points. You should be glad this isn't the official high school entrance exam. Next, Shinyi, get ready. The teacher shouted, start, and he immediately rushed out and perfectly avoided all the water droplets. The other students were stunned. So fast. The paint being shot out can't keep up with his speed. Because he had combat experience, this test was too easy for him. He only needed to slightly use some elven footwork to easily dodge the water guns. At the same time, 2 people under the tree were watching the male lead. This is our top student in the grade. It's a pity he missed the first exam. That's why I asked you to take a look and see if you can give him a chance, the man in sunglasses said. He has quite the talent in physical fitness. If he can also get a perfect score on mental strength, I might give him a chance. The fat man was shocked. A perfect score on mental strength? Former director, isn't that asking too much? As the two chatted, the male lead had already reached the finish line. Perfect score on the agility test. Shinyi, if only you hadn't missed an exam. Thank you, teacher. I haven't given up on taking the high school exam yet. After that, the male lead returned to the classroom to rest. At this moment, a man suddenly barged in. He kicked the male lead, sending both him and the desk flying. The newcomer was Sun Ming, the school bell's simp. The male lead calmly said, Did Zhao Yibin send you? Sun Ming claimed that he had come to cause trouble on his own, and it had nothing to do with Zhao Yibin. Furthermore, he had gathered a group of people. The male lead then used his one of us entry. Why bother? We're all one of us. In the next second, everyone was affected. Sun Ming spoke first. There's no way. Zhao Yibin begged us to vent his anger for him. Yeah, we don't want to hit our own brother. It's really troubling. It's all my fault for liking him too much. And brother, you're usually too quiet, so I wanted to beat you up. Forget it. We're all one of us. I won't do anything. 10 seconds later, they forgot everything that had just happened. Shinyi, we're going to kill you. The male lead felt that this effect was too weak, and it could only be used once a day. He immediately chose the Devour entry, gaining 3 attribute points. Then the Sword Gate reminded him, besides the 3 attribute points you just obtained, you can also freely allocate the attribute points you previously added to agility. Do you want to allocate them to strength? The male lead chose yes. His strength immediately increased from 1.2 to 5.2. Just then, someone locked the male lead from behind. Sun Ming seized the opportunity and punched him. His fist landed hard on the male lead's abdomen. A moment later, Sun Ming's knuckles were broken. The male lead grabbed the person behind him and punched him to the ground. Everyone was shocked. How can his strength be so strong? The male lead then realized that adding attributes to strength didn't just increase physical strength, but also increase the strength of the individual's limbs, internal organs, and the toughness of the meridians, and the explosive power of the flesh. They were all combined and called strength. The male lead slowly walked towards Sunming. Even though I missed an exam, you still want to hit me? Just to compete for a girl, you gathered together and carelessly wanted to ruin a person's life. He grabbed Sunming by the neck and lifted him up. If this happened to another student, or to me in the past, you would have beaten them badly and ruined their future because they couldn't take the exam. You deserve to die. Sunming was scared. Shinyi, we were wrong today. Forgive us this time. The male lead said, since you want to ruin my future, then you should taste what it's like to ruin your own future first. After saying that, he kicked Sunming away. Then the sound of hitting and screaming spread throughout the classroom building. The test teacher rushed over, and when he saw the scene in the classroom, he was stunned. The floor was covered in blood, and bodies were lying scattered. At this moment, the male lead said with tears in his eyes, Teacher, you're finally here. They're bullying me. Everyone was stunned. What are you talking about? You beat them up like this, and you're saying they're bullying you. Zhao Yibin in the crowd also saw this scene and thought, miscalculated. I didn't expect Xinyu to be so powerful now. But he still replied with a few words on his phone, the matter is done. Then his best friend asked him, didn't expect Xinyu to become more powerful. Bibing, do you regret it? Zhao Yibin thought, regret it? If I hadn't broken up with him back then, and instead encouraged him to keep working hard, would the ending be different? But then he denied it. No, there's no going back. He's caused such a big commotion, hurting 7 or 8 students. I'm afraid his high school entrance exam qualifications will be canceled. And my goal has been achieved. Xinyi is already a useless person. My future will be infinitely bright. Thinking of this, he replied to his best friend, no regrets. I only hate that I didn't see that he was a scumbag sooner. Just then, he noticed Sun Ming staring at him. He felt something was wrong. Sun Ming, no way, this idiot, is staring at me. He doesn't want to drag me into this, does he? Hey, don't look at me with that look, you bastard. Don't open your mouth. Don't open your mouth. In front of everyone, Sun Ming shouted his name, Bing Bing. Instantly, countless pairs of gossiping eyes looked at him. But Zhao Yibin once again had a dramatic outburst, with tears flowing like a faucet. He took out his phone and said, Crow, Sun Ming, Xinyi is actually bullying you like this. I'm going to call the police for you now. The male lead was speechless at this scene. Zhao Yibin is really good at acting. Then he was called to the principal's office. The principal was talking to the regional director of the Human Martial Arts Group when a teacher ran over to report that there was a student fight. The principal thought that such a small matter didn't need him to handle, but the teacher had already played the video. A moment later, both were stunned. At the same time, the police were also watching this fight video. Student Shin, do you have a habit of recording videos before you fight? I was afraid of being beaten to death by them. The police were speechless. They were almost beaten to death by you, right? It turned out that the male lead had already set up his phone recording when Sun Ming and the others were about to attack. The police said, although there's a video, you still need to come with us. The specific results will have to wait for their injury assessment to come out. The teacher quickly stood up to speak for Xinyi. This child has already missed an exam due to an unusual incident. If you take him back, wouldn't he miss another exam? As the teacher and the police argued, Xinyi was still constantly switching attributes. He had to quickly adapt to the abilities given by this switching of attributes. At this moment, the principal also arrived at the office. Student Shin, luckily you recorded the entire process with your phone, otherwise their injuries would have been enough to get you expelled. The former director also said, that's right, your physical fitness is far beyond theirs. Fighting them is pointless. Then he came to Xinyi and said, I watched the video of your fight. Although there was only half of it, you were actually holding back, right? Yes, I was afraid of killing someone. Xinyi took the business card. Human Martial Arts Group, Regional Director, Chin Russian. The Human Martial Arts Group is a group organization that has mastered various martial arts inheritance and owns rich intellectual property rights and martial arts intensive copyrights. For ordinary people, if they can enter the Human Martial Arts Group, it is basically equivalent to passing the Dragon Gate and breaking away from the ordinary class. When Xinyi looked at the man in front of him again, he found that just standing there, he had a feeling of being flawless all over, and no matter how he allocated his attributes, he could not hurt the other party at all. Student Shin, your talent makes me very satisfied. May I ask, what is your strength attribute? Xinyu replied, my strength is 5. The principal and the physical education teacher were shocked. So high. The male lead was also surprised. Is strength 5 very high? The former director replied, in the junior high school stage, The strength can reach 4.5, which is more than the inspection line of our group. 5 is even more different. With 5, you can manipulate some combat models of mobile armor, and you can also hold those incomplete, conventional level ancient weapons. And your physical fitness simulation test is full marks, which is enough for me to use the recommendation quota. Join our group. I will arrange for you to retake a strength test. Shinyi was surprised. Can I retake the test? Generally not, but geniuses are an exception. The male lead immediately agreed. By the way, how much is your mental strength? The male lead didn't want to make every attribute so exaggerated. He conservatively said 3, but this still made the former director's cigarette fall from his mouth, and others couldn't calm down. 3? So high. Isn't Shinya's mental strength just average? Student Shin, can you demonstrate it? Mental strength 3, you can already move objects with your mind. Just move this chair. Shinyi added attributes to mental strength, and then he controlled the chair into the air. Seeing this, the police captain stopped asking questions and directly ordered the other police officers to retreat. Because he knew that this student named Shinyi was about to soar into the sky, and this kind of folk genius was no longer something they could handle at this level. The former director was in a good mood, and he didn't expect to find a treasure. Shinya's strength is 5, his figure is full marks, his agility is at least above 4, plus his mental strength reaches 3. He will definitely be rewarded by the company for digging such a genius into the group. Then he left Shinyi alone. Student Shin, what is your life ideal? The male lead honestly replied, Director Qian Russian, your name is my ideal. The former director laughed. This is just the most basic thing. I want to know, what do you most desire in your heart? Desire. Well, at least don't be bullied. Be able to protect yourself and your family. Very good. Then now is the closest moment to your dream. Come, attack me. Bah, you long-haired rogue old man. The former director laughed twice. Don't attack with words. Use your fists. The male lead put all the attributes on strength. Director, then I'll offend you. Just as he was about to punch the former director just glanced at him, and the male lead was frozen in place. The former director explained, this is a kind of magic, which can hold the attacker, and you can protect yourself by learning it. Want to learn it? The male lead immediately said he wanted to. But this is not over yet. The former director took out a pistol. He pointed it at his head in front of the male lead, pulled the trigger, and the bullet actually stopped beside his head. This is another magic from the secret collection inside the group. This magic can resist various hidden weapon attacks, and even hardcore sniper rifles are not a problem. The former director saw that the time was almost right and said, now I officially invite you to join our Qianlong plan. This is the supernova training plan of our group. We will recommend you to the 3 best high schools in the world. Of course, before that, there will be a strict entrance exam, not the high school entrance exam, but the exam set by these 3 high schools themselves. Ordinary people can't access this exam at all because it has long been monopolized by the Sakya disciples, and the Sakyas are some families that have inherited the ancient gods, and they have the knowledge, artifacts, blood pacts, and so on left by the gods. The male lead thought of his grandfather, who also seemed to be a Sakya, and the Qianlong plan was to find folk geniuses like you. We will help you enter the highest level school. Even if you fail the exam and are eliminated, we will guarantee that you will enter a key high school. If you successfully enter any of the 3 high schools, the group will be responsible for helping you in resources in all aspects, selecting your future career according to your strengths. When you are promoted to the point where you can no longer be promoted, return to the group and work for the group, and the treatment is also the best. The male lead understood that this was a strength-first event, so he accepted the invitation, and then the former director took out an electronic document, asked him to sign it and enter his fingerprints. The male lead read it and signed it after there was no problem. Because he was still a minor, the former director had to find his parents to sign it. As soon as he went out, the former director disappeared into the aisle. The male lead was shocked. The former director's strength was unfathomable, and just then his phone rang. Student Shin, I am Police Officer Luo Feichuan. I have found some clues about what happened to you that night. I hope you can come to the police station. The male lead was called to the office by the police chief Luo Feichuan. He took out a photo and said, the night you had an accident, someone took a picture of this man on the roof of the hospital. He is very suspicious. Do you know him? The male lead zoomed in to have a look and said that he didn't know this person. This person seemed to want to activate something. Did you carry anything that you didn't usually carry that day? The male lead understood that the man had activated the cursed sculpture of the king of the 10,000 evil ghosts. But clearly, Officer Luo hadn't caught this person yet, and the sculpture had already turned to ashes. He couldn't reveal anything about the statue. Officer, that day I was just like usual. I didn't bring anything special. Officer Luo looked at the male lead suspiciously. That's strange. You didn't experience any feelings of suffocation, loss of control, or loss of consciousness? The male lead replied no, but he felt that Officer Luo's question seemed to imply he knew something. And since entering the office, he had felt uneasy, as if something was lurking around. Just as Officer Luo raised his hand, the male lead quickly said, I remember now. My backpack was open, but I definitely zipped it up after school. Officer Luo asked, Did you check your backpack? The male lead replied no, but sweat broke out on his palms. What did Officer Luo mean by raising his hand? It seemed like he was about to attack. He immediately switched all his attribute points to agility. As soon as the other party made a move, he would summon a door at his feet so he could jump through it if anything went wrong. Just then, Officer Luo's phone rang, and the male lead was startled. He quickly said, Officer, I should probably excuse myself while you take the call. Officer Luo gestured for him to stay put. A man's voice came from the phone, Luo Feichuan, you're about to die. As soon as he said that, a circle of red ripples appeared in front of Luo Feichuan. The male lead was shocked. What was going on? Was this the vertical method the former supervisor mentioned? Officer Luo realized the enemy was nearby. He broke through the window and jumped out. Alarm. Attacker detected. Attacker has infiltrated the police station. All non-combat personnel evacuate immediately. Then the male lead saw a shocking scene. Outside the window, it had turned into a bloody graveyard. A man wearing floral pajamas said, Luo Feichuan, you killed many members of our church. I will avenge them. Luo Feichuan replied, We can talk about this later. I'll give you an explanation. I'm busy right now. The man didn't appreciate it. Your life is the best explanation you can give us. The man's cane flashed, and the scene outside the window returned to normal. They were gone. It seemed Officer Luo had been left in that graveyard. Only the male lead was left in the room, but he still had a strange feeling. He shouted, Show yourself, whoever you are. Your necromantic talent ability, the dim underworld, is activated. Following your inquiry, based on the corpses in this place, the soul must return to the deep channel to answer your questions. If he does not answer, he will never rest in peace. The dim underworld was activated. The male lead realized there was a corpse in the room. Suddenly, a voice sounded behind him. Thank you, Xinyi. He looked around and found the voice was coming from the closet. I didn't expect to return to the deep channel. Using the unoverviewed quirks, I come to answer your questions. The male lead suddenly felt the voice was familiar. He cautiously opened the closet door. The next moment, he saw Officer Luo's corpse. The male lead's eyes widened. Officer Luo, what's going on? Officer Luo's voice rang out again. The man with sunglasses in the photo killed me. He's an assassin. I'm a special forces soldier with equal strength and agility. I need powerful equipment to unleash my power, but at the critical moment, my weapon malfunctioned. What is his purpose? I don't know, but he must be seeking some answer. The male lead understood. The cursed sculpture of the king of the 10,000 evil ghosts had never been lost in history. He must want to know why I alone survived. Fortunately, a madman attacked the police station, disrupting the assassin's plan. Luo Feichuan told the male lead that madman is a member of a church I offended. What he used wasn't magic, but an anomaly. Other worlds suddenly linked to our world, engulfing an area, eroding it, taking it over, or simply taking away some living beings. These are called anomalies. Above this, there are even more serious situations called disasters. The male lead asked, What are disasters? Disasters are powerful monsters from other worlds that suddenly descend upon the main world using some method. This situation is highly likely to cause an anomalous cataclysm, like Jiangnan City. That was the most typical example of a disaster descending. An entire city of over 13 million people had no survivors. The male lead felt it was terrifying. Then Luo Feichuan reminded him, We don't have much time to talk. That anomaly is only the mildest type with time limits. The killer might return soon. Then he told the male lead a long string of passwords, instructing him to enter them on a silver wall outside the weapons vault. Luo Feichuan continued, There's a special pin stored there. Write the password on the wall and report the truth. You can then get protection. Time is limited. This is your only way to protect yourself. After saying that, Luo Feichuan's voice completely disappeared. The other party has told you everything. The soul has departed. The male lead fell silent. The other police officers weren't willing to get involved in Shinye's case, even if it meant the chief of police would die. Then he picked up Officer Luo's hat and put it back on his head. He slowly closed the closet door and slammed his head against it. With my current strength, I don't even have the qualifications to avenge Officer Luo. But I will definitely avenge him. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Shinyi, are you in there? A moment later, a policeman opened the door. Shinyi, come out. There's been an attack. Everyone has to undergo a central intelligence brain examination immediately. But he didn't see anyone inside. He glanced at the closet, and his expression changed. The corpse has been moved. Did you do this, Shinyi? The next second, he was sent flying in all directions. A moment later, he landed on the table. He's gone. Did he run? Then he took out a walkie-talkie and said, all teams, listen up. I highly suspect Shinyi is involved in this incident. Issue a warrant for his arrest immediately. Capture Shinyi on sight. Then the man left. A door appeared out of thin air. The male lead peeked out. Sure enough, the killer has other accomplices. Then he immediately ran to the broken window. He planned to climb along the outer wall to the password room. Soon after, he arrived at the password room Luo Feichuan had mentioned. He immediately picked up the pen on the wall and prepared to write the password. But then a voice came from behind him. I wondered what I heard moving up here. It's Shinyi. What are you doing here? Shinyi wrote frantically. Oh, I have the senior high school entrance exam soon. The teacher left some math problems today, and I have to hurry up and work on them. The man's eyes narrowed. That's the emergency activation device connecting to the world government's central intelligence system. He has the password. He fired a dagger without hesitation. Stop right now. A door suddenly appeared, blocking the dagger. The man was surprised. What ability is this? The male lead was alarmed. Thank goodness the door changes with the surrounding environment. If it was a normal door, I'd probably be in two pieces right now. The man kicked, sending the door towards the male lead. Just as the door was about to hit him, the male lead dismissed it. The man charged again, crashing headfirst into the iron door. He cursed, damn brat. The summoned door can be fixed on the ground. At this moment, the male lead finally finished writing all the passwords. Password in code. I am the world government's strongest Kunlun. Now starting to review emergency handling. Scanning the entire police station, Luo Feichuan's corpse has been found, and the false identity of Heavy Crimes Unit Captain Wang Shuimu has been successfully verified. Activating the nearest senior professional, Group Regional Manager Qian Russian has been dispatched. Given the severity of the current situation, the decision is to kill immediately. The imposter Wang Shuimu will be eliminated in 30 seconds. Countdown begins. 29, 28. The killer, posing as a policeman, Long Heng, thought, calling in reinforcements? Heh, you want to kill me? Dream on. 30 seconds is enough for me to kill you and get away unscathed. The male lead immediately switched out a door to escape, but the killer grabbed his hand. Brat, you think I'll let you escape? Just as his fist was about to slam into the male lead's face, another fist landed on him first. Before the male lead could react, the other party had been blown to bits. The newcomer was the former supervisor. Am I handsome? Handsome, so handsome. Soon after, the male lead was taken to the National Security Department. He told them about Luo Feichuan and the password, half-truthfully. The former supervisor, Wen Yin, sighed. Officer Luo was righteous, but that's why he attracted such a deadly end. Then he told the male lead the information on the killer that Kunlun had found. He's an assassin from the Assassin Alliance, but they only take online assignments and don't know who the client is. The male lead analyzed. Since he's an assassin who can kill Officer Luo, his strength and price must be high. That means the client must be a rich person. Then he had another question. What is this Kunlun that appeared after I used the password? Why didn't Officer Luo call him to solve the killer? Kunlun is the world government's central intelligence system. Ah, this support mission was arranged for me by him. He usually doesn't care about such trivial matters unless you have the password he gave you. Then he will take action for you. As for why Officer Luo didn't call him, it's because he didn't know there was a problem with his weapon. A woman presented Luo Feichuan's integrated steel suit. She informed them that a virus had been written into the program, causing it to fail to start. But after Luo Feichuan died, it worked again. Clearly, this was man-made, and by someone who was very familiar with her. The male lead looked at Luo Feichuan's weapon and felt the wickedness of people's hearts. Then the former supervisor said to him, Shinyi, are you also one of us? Today, I will give you your first lesson. I hope you remember, at all times, Be wary of those with malicious intentions. They are more terrifying than monsters. Soon after, the male lead met his parents. His mother told him, "Actually, you are also a member of a noble family. Your father was originally a direct descendant of the Sanjinshin family, a noble family." The male lead had seen in history books that the Sanjinshin family was one of the few families in history that possessed divine heritage and divine artifacts. Your father was also a prodigy, but he went berserk while practicing an ancient cultivation technique, losing all his strength. He came to this city feeling discouraged and met me. Later, your grandfather arranged a marriage for him. He refused for me, angering your grandfather, which led to him being completely abandoned by the family. Then we had you, and lived a peaceful and contented life. The male lead was sweating. "Please, stop showing off your love." Then his father said, "I'm telling you this because of the talent you've shown. If you go back now and recognize your ancestors, you can become a member of a noble family and enjoy quality resources and treatment. The heritage of a noble family is something countless people desire but cannot obtain. But if you join the Human Five Paths group, you will never be able to access the family's secret heritage. Now we are leaving the choice entirely up to you. We will all support you." Over the years, every time I went back with my parents, my grandfather never gave us a good look, and other relatives were even more unfriendly. The only happiness in my memory was playing with the other kids in my family when I was a child. The male lead was silent for a moment. "I choose to join the Human Five Paths group." His mother said, "Have you thought about it clearly? We can beg your grandfather. If he agrees, you will have a worry-free life." The male lead's eyes were firm. "No, I won't go back. I don't want you to beg people. Since you and Dad can support this family, so can I. You believe in me, right? Xiaoyi, you've really grown up. We all support you." Soon after, he successfully signed a contract with the Human Five Paths group. Since he had to participate in the entrance selection for the 3 great famous schools in a few days, the male lead was taken back to the company headquarters by the former supervisor. The room the company arranged for him was extremely luxurious. From his room, he could admire the most beautiful sunset in the city. But he also understood that all of this was earned through strength. He had to continue to become stronger. "Tonight at 12 o'clock, I will go to the nightmare world again and strive to get another good evaluation tag." As soon as the male lead opened the door, he was dumbfounded. "What's with the scattered bones all over the floor? Big Skeleton, what's going on with you?" It turned out that Big Skeleton had been beaten to pieces. He asked the male lead for help. "Shinyi, save me." The male lead told him to wait a moment, that he would be right back. In this way, after a small hour, the male lead finally returned. "Big Skeleton, I'm back. But the door isn't big enough. This thing won't fit." It turns out the male protagonist bought a super large fish tank, filled with various calcium supplements. The male protagonist was just about to go into the secret passage, but an accident happened. The entire secret passage was collapsing. The giant skeleton told the male protagonist that the undead race was at war with the human race outside the secret passage. Then, he quickly threw out a ring, asking the male protagonist to take him into the ring's spatial dimension. The male protagonist did as he was told, immediately putting the skeleton into the ring. Just before the secret passage was about to be blown up, the male protagonist closed the door, just barely making it. A little later, and he would have been hit by the explosion. Then, he said to the ring, "Giant skeleton, you got into the ring?" "That's right. Spatial rings can't store living things, but I just so happen to not be living. I'm undead." Then he told the male protagonist to put the fish tank into the ring as well, so he could soak in it. As the fish tank was put into the ring, the male protagonist said, "Since I saved you, you should repay me. I'm going to your world today, and you need to help me with all your strength." The skeleton, soaking in the fish tank, just felt comfortable. He asked the male protagonist what kind of help he needed. The male protagonist said he needed a set of equipment to hide his identity. Then the skeleton threw out a pile of equipment from the ring. After a while, the male protagonist found a set of armor that was still in decent condition. Then the skeleton took out a mask. This is a centurion's mask. It has a high-level aura of death. Wearing it, you won't be seen through by other undead. The male protagonist put on the entire set of equipment, and from the outside, he looked like a complete undead warrior. He was already imagining in his mind that he'd get a skeletal warhorse and swagger around the undead camp, and if he was in danger, he'd immediately run away. He might even get a Spectre Knight title. After fantasizing, he excitedly opened the gate to the other world. After opening the door, he saw a scene of ruins. But luckily, the secret passage wasn't completely sealed off. He traveled and finally crawled out of the secret passage. As soon as he came out, he was surrounded by spear tips. "Captain, there's a lone undead here. Kill him." The male protagonist quickly took off the mask. "Don't shoot. It's me. Look, I'm human." The captain didn't hesitate. "You must be a spy. Die." The male protagonist quickly parried with a short sword. The captain stopped when he saw the male protagonist's sword. "This sword is Nightshade." It turned out this was a short sword exclusive to the Red Heir of Humanity, a white-grade weapon with the traits Sharp and Strike. It was a sword used for assassination and had been blessed with the Silent Holy Day blessing by the human race. Silent Holy Day, only the Red Heir of Humanity whose soul has not fallen can hold this sword. The person holding this sword is worthy of human trust and can specialize in delivering information. The captain pulled the male protagonist up. "Only a human who hasn't fallen can hold Nightshade. He's definitely one of us. All right, there's nothing for you here. Continue to hunt down the remaining undead." "Yes, sir." After the soldiers left, the captain gave the male protagonist a hand signal. "Brother, do you need our assistance?" The male protagonist's face was sweating. This hand signal means "I love you" on Blue Star. What does it mean when he gives me this hand signal? No, he's been staring at my mask. This hand gesture must have some secret meaning. Does this mask represent something? Whatever, let's bluff him first. The male protagonist also gave an "I love you" hand signal. "As you can see, I'm in a difficult situation right now. If you can help me, of course I won't refuse." "Understood. I'll give you a solo combat pack." He actually fell for it. The male protagonist took the pack and said, "Thank you. Please tell me your name, and I'll definitely repay you in the future." "My name is Roman." At this moment, a troop of soldiers rode over, clearing the way for a baron. Then a baron stopped in front of them. "Roman, you've lingered here too long. Do you intend to delay the battle?" Roman replied, "Not at all. I just met a Red Heir, but the baron doesn't believe me." "Red Heir? Men, arrest this Red Heir. I suspect he's an undead spy." The captain quickly stopped them. "Wait, he has the Nightshade sword." At that time, the baron's still overbearing. "Shut up, I know very well that the person who can take the Nightshade sword has not sold his soul. But I need to know what his mission is." The male lead also lost his temper. "Who are you, and why do you ask my mission?" the baron arrogantly said. "I am Warren, the baron of Southern Eagle Castle. You a little red queen. Dare to ask my name first, copy it 20 times, and then find out your little secrets." As soon as he finished speaking, they pointed their guns at the male protagonist. The male protagonist smiled and said, "Warren, right? Pervert. I remember you." After speaking, he opened a door under his feet. Just as they rushed up, the male protagonist disappeared in place. "Where are people? How did you disappear out of thin air?" The baron suddenly felt cold. This is Roman's look of watching a good show. "I heard that some unnamed assassins also participated in this battle. They are good at hiding in the shadows. They are experts in assassination missions." "Warren, you were so brave just now. You actually reported your name." The baron was sweating profusely. He is an assassin. The battlefield is changing rapidly. If he takes the opportunity to assassinate me. Thinking of this, he immediately called the soldiers to retreat. I didn't dare to stop for a moment at the same time. The male protagonist also returned to his room. "Damn. Baron Warren is right. He will do it when he says it. I remember you. Fortunately, I released the door on the ground in advance. Otherwise, it's really dangerous." After that, a prompt popped up. This time, the opening door got the evaluation entry. "Are people?" Green entry. "Excellent." Evaluation: as an ordinary human, you can get the highest level entry is white, but you are in an environment where you can't beat anyone at all, borrowing strength and resolving difficulties and getting away. This is the fundamental reason why you can get this entry exceptionally. Male lead error. Why is it a green entry again? Are people? Note, this is the second time you have been exceptionally obtained this article. Current activation of special events. If the next evaluation entry you get is still the green entry of our own people, can be obtained 3 consecutive times to obtain the special honor entry of the same evaluation ordinary person. This honor entry will trigger a strong resonance force. Call a hidden ability. Comes you have only one chance to get this hidden ability. Please act cautiously. The male lead was shocked. Obtaining 3 identical entries can activate hidden ability. That is to say, if I get the next, the entry is still our own people. If you can successfully activate, otherwise, you will lose the chance to gain hidden abilities. But how to get the green grade again? Our own entry, according to the entry description, needs to be in desperation by borrowing strength solve the problem, and get away think carefully about the experience of getting our own people twice, whether it is in the elf village or the undead battlefield. I am in someone else's home court, and in a life-and-death crisis in the end. Let others put down their hostility, that's right. This is the unlock condition, but this requirement is too high. It's like dancing on the tip of a knife, and there is only one chance opportunity. Just then his doorbell rang. The family of Sheriff Locke died investigating my case. He saved me again after his death. His family wants to see me. No matter what, I can't refuse. A moment later, the male lead met a blue-haired woman on the rooftop. Hello. I am Shinyi. Are you the sister of Sheriff Locke? The moment the girl turned around, the male lead saw the 3 words on her head: Great Swordsman. Hello, I'm Xiaomingyu. Locke Feichuan's younger sister. This time, I came to understand something from you. The male lead subconsciously shook hands with each other, but I was shocked. I have met so many people, and none of them have evaluation entries. The girl is the second person I have seen with an entry. The girl told the male lead that the assassin who killed my brother had been caught. Those who tampered with my brother's weapons have also been found. His 2 classmates' motivation is extreme. The honor my brother got, I have killed them all. The male lead was surprised. I heard from the former director that the murderer was only captured alive yesterday. Yes. So I killed him. The male lead worried. You just like that, just killing it? Will there be any problems? The girl calmly said, no matter what. My brother is also from a noble family. I represent the Locke family to get back for him. No one dares to say anything. Then he asked the male lead for information about the mastermind, about the person who wants to kill you. Do you have any clues yourself? The male lead said, frankly, to be honest, I have no clue about the mastermind. However, killing these murderers, you have avenged Sheriff Locke, right? The girl, but I don't think it's enough. I must find that mastermind, then kill it to comfort my brother. In the sky, after the words fell, a sword light cut into the sky. Then the clouds in the sky were cut in half. The male lead was shocked. This is what he just cut out. I didn't even see him draw his sword. Then Xiaomingyu asked the male lead again. Shinyi, please think carefully. Is there anything special or other details missing? The male lead closed his eyes and thought carefully, and suddenly he thought of something. By the way, speaking of which, I seemed to hear frightened screams in the hospital when I was attacked for the first time. Could there be any witnesses? This is possible. I'll investigate now. Xiaomingyu left contact information and turned to leave. At this time, the former director appeared behind the male lead. But it seems the result is good. Then the male lead asked about Xiaomingyu's information. The former director told him that Xiaomingyu is the most outstanding descendant of the Locke family in this generation, and can be called a leader among the major noble families, and will take the 3 major high school entrance exams with the male lead. The former director comforted the male lead. Don't be discouraged. The noble families often have secret inheritances, starting to cultivate from a young age. Strength far exceeds that of ordinary peers is normal. The male lead pretended not to care and went back to his room to sleep. As a result, he returned to the room with a sense of frustration, as expected of a family descendant so strong. The noble family is the existence at the highest level of the entire human civilization. What if it is really a member of the noble family who wants to kill me? He quickly said to the big skeleton in the ring. Hey, big skeleton, do you still have nightmare crystals? The kind with skills. The big skeleton replied, I only have undead skills here. You are not undead. You can't use the power of soul fire. The male lead immediately felt anxious. No, I have to find a way to improve my strength. By the way, I haven't looked at the solo combat pack that the human officer Roman gave me yet. Then he rummaged through the backpack. As a result, there was really a nightmare crystal in the backpack. He crushed it immediately. Give me a good skill. As a result, only one line of information appeared. Shadow Hand. The Brotherhood sets up intelligence transfer points where the army camps. If you see a camp with 3 short swords standing, you can come and submit tasks. Shadow Hand is waiting for your news. The male lead was disappointed. So it was a secret message. The skeleton reminded him. Maybe you can exchange some good things through intelligence. The male lead thought for a while. He has already obtained the entry today. Going to the nightmare world again will not get the same entry. It's a good time to use this time to explore again. So he asked the big skeleton for a set of human soldier equipment. The big skeleton gave him the equipment of the Rhine territory soldiers. The hunting dog badge on the shield is their emblem. The humans in the Rhine territory have been killed by the undead. The male lead pretends to be a survivor and no one will doubt it. There is also a nightmare crystal. Inside is a distressed letter from the Lord of Rhine. It can also be regarded as a token. It will be useful when you go out later. Then the male lead stepped into the nightmare world again. After the male lead came out, he found that the war was over. Only some soldiers cleaning the battlefield were left. He tiptoed out. Then he hid next to the corpse of an undead giant. Then he launched the underworld hell. Hey, brother, wake up. I have something to ask you. Do you know the origin of this mask? The giant replied, I don't know. The male lead Wan Yin immediately ran to the next corpse. In this way, he kept asking the corpses whether they had seen him the mask in his hand, but the answer was no. After a while, he found a rock to rest. Damn it. Finding like this is like finding a needle in a haystack. At this time, he saw a werewolf corpse next to him. By the way, the werewolf's nose must be very sensitive. Maybe he can help me find it. So he took out the mask and asked, Good dog, have you seen this mask or smelled a similar smell? The werewolf replied, I have seen this mask. It belongs to a follower, just over there. But it only has one arm left. Also, I am not a dog. I am a wolf. Okay, good dog. Thank you. Then the male lead came to the side of that arm. Only one arm is left. Is my underworld hell still useful? He tried to say, Buddy, are you there? Then the hand actually moved and made a hand gesture of I love you to him. The male lead said happily, This is the iconic hand gesture of Shadow Hand. It seems that I found the right person. This person is the owner of the mask. Buddy, is there anything you can tell me? The arm pointed in a direction. Only a dropped boot was seen there. The male lead picked up the boot and covered his nose from the stench. He saw something inside. He poured it out, and it was a button-like object and a piece of paper. You have discovered enough special items. Unlocked auxiliary ability. Inspect item. You can see the descriptions of special items. Then he saw the information about the button-like item. Night Shadow Badge. Blue quality. Excellent. The badge has profound, spirit-connecting magic runes inscribed on it, which can activate certain weapons. Without a matching weapon, it's just junk. The male lead thought of his Nightshade sword. He took it out and placed it together with the Night Shadow Badge. As the badge was inlaid into the sword's level increased, from Nightshade to Nightfall. Then Nightfall's information was displayed. Nightfall, Human Assassin Exclusive Short Sword, Blue Grade. Excellent. Traits, Sharp, High. Trait, Penetration, High. Trait, Bleeding, High. This is an assassin's short sword, also blessed by the Shadow Hand Brotherhood with Shadow Blessing. Only high-ranking assassins can equip it. Shadow Blessing. This sword emits special power fluctuations that represent your identity, allowing you to complete various tasks in the Shadow Hand Brotherhood and obtain corresponding rewards. Shadow protects everyone who upholds justice. The male lead raised the Nightfall sword high, not expecting such a pleasant surprise. Then he looked at the letter. Notice regarding the need to investigate the truth of the undead anomaly. To all brothers and sisters, the Human Empire and the Elven Kingdom have jointly issued a large-scale mission. As long as any information about the undead anomaly can be discovered, generous rewards can be exchanged. Please everyone go to the battlefield. The survival of our race requires you and me to fight with all our strength. May the shadows protect you and me. Shadow Hand. So this was a Shadow Hand mission notice. The male lead remembered the crystal Roman gave him, which contained the location of the Shadow Hand. It seemed Roman was also a member of the Shadow Hand. Then the male lead began to interrogate the undead corpses for information. You, get up. Tell me information about the undead anomaly. The undead replied, I don't know anything. The male lead thought this was too slow, so he asked several undead at once, you, and you, tell me information about the undead anomaly. The undead replied, we don't know anything. Ordinary soldiers only had orders to fight. The male lead was immediately stressed. It seemed ordinary soldiers didn't know valuable information. At this moment, the big skeleton in the area spoke. Actually, I can provide you with information. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about you. But as an undead, why would you want to betray your race? You wouldn't be trying to trick me again, would you? The skeleton chuckled. The undead are indeed my kin, but they all harbor ill intentions toward me. The male lead remembered that this guy's situation among the undead seemed very bad, so selling information seemed plausible. Then the big skeleton told him some information. The undead race has adopted new turret components, which can increase the power of the undead soulfire cannon by 20% and the firing frequency by 10%. The male lead put away the information and worriedly said, "Won't this information be too valuable? I'm just an ordinary person. Once I take such earth-shattering information out, and the enemy checks it, I'll definitely face great risk." The skeleton said, "It's not that high, actually. With the progress of the war, I believe the human high-level authorities have already guessed it, but they haven't confirmed it yet." Soon after, the male lead saw the human military camp. The Shadow Hand mission exchange point was inside the camp. However, how should I get over there? The skeleton suggested, "Aren't those humans looking for the wounded? You can pretend to be injured and let them take you over." "That's a good idea. How severe should my injury be? What's their healing level like?" The skeleton replied, "Human holy art healing effects are the best. Even elves can't compare to humans, provided you have money. What about you, undead?" The skeleton answered, "We generally throw the dying soldiers outside and let them fend for themselves. We can also heal, but it's very troublesome. We need to use a special incantation, materialize a sacrificial altar city, and then imprison a group of undead or living beings, drawing power from them. This method allows us to recover instantly, but the price is the life force of other living beings. Only undead with very high status can do this, and they also need to understand the various secrets. So, human value is higher, but I have no money." The skeleton said, "I have it." Then the male lead no longer hesitated. He came to the undead giant's hammer and added all his attributes to strength, then laboriously raised the hammer. The big skeleton was puzzled. "What are you doing?" Only to hear the male lead reply, "If I can't shout for help when the time comes, remember to help me think of a way." Then there was the sound of a hammer smashing the ground. The male lead spat out a mouthful of blood. "Damn it, this is bad." Then he picked up a rock and frantically knocked on his shield. Someone come save me. Is there anyone? Help." The search and rescue team immediately heard the male lead's call for help. "Quick, there's a wounded person here." Soon after, inside the human military camp, a human priest was casting a healing spell on the male lead. As the healing magic entered the male lead's body, his injuries were restored after a moment. Then 3 people walked into the camp. The old man said, "You may leave, and reimbursement will come for you shortly." Then the man in white helped the male lead up. "Child, you're safe now." The male lead asked, "Where is this?" "Who are you?" "This is the human camp. I am Prince Norton." "Child, the shield you carry has the hound emblem. Tell me, are you from Lord Rhine?" The male lead took out a crystal and said, "I finally found you. Rhine has been invaded by the undead. Please send support quickly. This is a letter from the Lord for me to deliver." The old man took the crystal to confirm it. "To the great lords of the Empire, I am Lord Lawrence of Rhine. Whoever can lead troops to save our Rhine territory, I am willing to pay 300 gold coins and a considerable land deed. Please come and save us." The old man confirmed, "This is Lawrence's voice. The crystal is also fine." Prince Norton looked at the male lead. "Child, you are indeed from Rhine, but I must tell you one thing. Rhine has been completely destroyed. You are the only survivor." The male lead's acting exploded. "What? Father, mother, Zeros, Grandma, Owen, Kaya, little Lou, they all didn't survive? No, I don't believe it." Sobbing, Prince Norton comforted, "Child, you've come all this way, experiencing hardships. And you even survived under the stone hammer of the undead giant. It's truly an amazing thing. You are the only remaining spark of Rhine. Rest well, and don't think about anything. Tomorrow I'll arrange for you to go to the rear of the Empire and find a safe place to live." The male lead immediately stopped crying. "No, I still need to find the Shadow Hand camp to exchange missions for skills. I can't be dismissed like this." He quickly said, "Thank you, sir, but please allow me to stay on the battlefield. I want to avenge everyone. I will never let those undead go. I want to fight them and drive them all out." There was silence in the room. Everyone was moved by the male lead. After a moment, Prince Norton said, "Such courage at such a young age. To be chosen by Lord Rhine to bear the important task of delivering the message, you must have extraordinary abilities." The male lead knew it was time for him to show off. "I can run fast. No one my age in the entire Rhine County is as fast as me." So he devoured the own man word sticker he obtained today and added all of it to agility, bringing his agility to 9.9. Then he came outside the silver tent. "Sir, look at my speed." The next second, he darted out, then turned around and ran back to the original spot. Prince Norton praised, "Your speed is indeed very fast." The female elf stepped forward and grabbed the male lead's hand. "Child, where did you get this bracelet?" The male lead replied, "An elven girl named Lanny gave it to me." After the female elf recited his spell, she kept tapping on the bracelet. Then an image of an elven girl appeared in the room. "May I ask, who is using elven magic to summon me?" The female elf said, "Lanny, I am Archmage Yodria of the royal court. How did your bracelet end up on a human boy?" The male lead took the initiative to say hello. "Hi, Lanny. Did you like the magic trick I did for you last time?" Lanny showed a happy expression after seeing the male lead. "It's really you. When will you come visit our village again?" The female elf asked Lanny to answer her question. Lanny said, "Some time ago, an undead spy entered the village. He preemptively exposed the undead's conspiracy, forcing the high priest to owe him a favor. Speaking of which, the high priest has been looking for him." Ending the communication, the female elf patted the male lead's shoulder and said, "Prince Norton, this child is so young, agile, has survived many disasters, and is also acquainted with our elven race. I suggest letting him go to the capital to study." Prince Norton agreed immediately. Okay. It's rare to have a human that your elven race looks up to. It's settled then. Someone, record his identity." Prince Norton patted the male lead's shoulder. "What's your full name?" The male lead didn't know the customs of Rhine County or the characteristics of the enlightened, so to avoid revealing any flaws, he could only pretend to have amnesia. "Oh, my head hurts so much." The old man stepped forward to check. His brain must have been concussed by the undead giant stone hammer, causing amnesia. Prince Norton had no choice but to comfort him. "It's okay. Rest well first. We'll meet again, boy who survived a disaster. You have gained some renown. You have a certain probability of obtaining a self-created term, boy who survived a disaster." The male lead was dumbfounded. Boy who survived a disaster? What kind of term is that? I don't have a lightning-shaped scar on my forehead, do I? He asked the system, "Is there any way to get rid of this term that's about to form?" The term that is not formed needs to continue to appear, so that it is constantly transmitted in the world, and it will be completely formed. If you want to deny this term, there are two ways. One is to become a film and television, and as time goes by, it has been forgotten by people, then the unformed entry will dissipate. The second is to do something completely opposite to the meaning of the term, and people will naturally not look at it with the old eyes, and the term will also change accordingly. The male lead said goodbye to everyone while thinking, "Great, after things here are over, I'll disappear for a while." Soon after, the male lead found the Shadow Hand camp. He entered and greeted, "Hello, I'm here to exchange information." However, the people inside ignored him. The male lead realized something and made an "I love you" gesture. "May the shadows always protect you and me." The man then turned his head and gave him a suggestive gesture. "Brother, what news do you have?" The male lead tossed the information crystal the big skeleton gave him to the other party. "I got it from the soulfire cannon in the undead camp. I believe you've noticed that their firepower is stronger than usual in this battle." "Very good. This thing is indeed valuable. What would you like to exchange for?" "I have a tactical camouflage dagger here, coated with a special poison. As long as you lick it, you'll feign death. It's especially suitable for assassins on the battlefield. The poison is newly produced, with a full 2-year shelf life. If you can't sleep well at night, you can also lick it for deep sleep, guaranteeing that you'll be refreshed the next day." The male lead looked at the dagger speechlessly. "Is there anything else?" The man blew a whistle, and a horse appeared outside the camp. Then the horse rolled its eyes, fell to the ground, and started foaming at the mouth and twitching. "How about it? A horse that pretends to be dead. As long as you give it a look, it'll fall down and play dead." The male lead looked at the man speechlessly. "So the horse and the dagger are a set?" The man replied, "Brother, good eye." The male lead asked if there was anything else. The man took out a pair of sunglasses. These are light-penetrating glasses, inlaid with 2 shadow crystals. Anyone who wears them can see the money and treasures on others through their clothes. The male lead was sweating profusely. "This is okay, but what I need more at the moment is skill crystals. Do you have any?" The man said, "Recently, it's hard to get those. I only have 2 at the moment. One is the basic bleeding technique, which can make enemies bleed nonstop. It can be used with knives, swords, daggers, and other weapons. The other is a kicking technique called double wind, a basic knockback move that can kick away enemies and their weapons." Just as the male lead was hesitating about which one to choose, a familiar voice sounded in his mind. "Human, choose double wind." The male lead froze. This voice was the mysterious person who had guided him and given him the Nightshade sword before. He asked in his mind, "Why should I choose double wind?" The voice replied, "Because it's not a technique from this world. Next, you need to find a way to obtain the undead race's Shadow Whisper and the Beast God's Thunderpalm. When you obtain them, combine them with your Moonlit Path and Double Wind, and you will unlock the real secret. In the end, the male lead chose Double Wind. He crushed the crystal, and various kicking techniques emerged, then imprinted themselves in his mind. At this moment, the man said, Double Wind is just a basic kicking technique, and your mission reward is more valuable. Do you have any other needs? The male lead said no. The man gave him a bag of gold as compensation. After leaving the camp, the male lead asked the skeleton, Hey, big skeleton, can you get me the undead race's Shadow Whisper? The big skeleton directly tossed him a crystal. This technique is the most basic illusion magic. It's useless. You just need enough agility and mental power to cast it. Why do you want it? The male lead looked at the skill information that appeared. Shadow Whisper requires 3 mental power, 5 agility. Description: release a shadow to confuse your opponent. Then the male lead began to allocate his attributes, 3 points to mental power, 4 points to agility. The conditions were met. Then the male lead found a place where no one was around. He couldn't let anyone see him casting undead magic. Shadow Whisper. A ghost image flew out of the male lead's body, but it disappeared after only a few seconds. The male lead was stunned. That's Shadow Whisper? Besides scaring someone, it doesn't seem to have any other use. Now I only need Thunderpalm. I want to see what will happen after I collect these skills. Just then, a soldier found the male lead. I finally found you, boy who survived a disaster. Congratulations, due to your heroic performance, His Highness Prince Norton has decided to reward you with a Medal of Valor and this letter of recommendation. The male lead took the gift box and saluted the soldier to express his gratitude. This execution goal is achieved, and I should go back. The next day, Mr. Shinyi, the gold has been exchanged for a total of 65,444 yuan and has been transferred to the designated account according to your request. Okay, thank you. At this moment, the male lead checked his phone and realized that he had so many messages after going to the nightmare world. One of them was sent by Zhaoibing. Woo-woo, it's all my fault. Shinyi, please forgive me. I'll go see a movie with you tonight, okay? Attached was a youthful photo of her with a smile. The male lead blushed a little when he saw it. She was indeed very beautiful, but... Then he sent a string of Sigma male quotes, face reality. Bing bing, I am the swan that you will never be able to eat. At this time, he received a message from his good friend Shin Haoyu. Brother Yi, congratulations on signing with Human Martial Arts Group. Let's celebrate tonight. The male lead thought that he was currently facing an assassination attempt by the Assassin Alliance. Leaving the group to go outside would be very unsafe, but he couldn't bear to refuse because of his friendship with Chen Haoyu. Fortunately, Chen Haoyu sent another message, saying that he had always dreamed of going to Human Martial Arts Group and wanted the male lead to take him on a tour. The male lead immediately thought it was feasible. The group could allow visitors to come in, and the inside of the group was safe. It could satisfy Chen Haoyu's curiosity and also celebrate together. Then the male lead went down to the first floor. A group of people were standing in the hall. These people's auras were completely different from ordinary people. This was what the former supervisor had said, people with professions. At this time, a bald fatty noticed the male lead. He walked over and asked, "Are you this year's rookie?" "Yes, sorry, shouldn't I be staring at you?" The bald man smiled kindly. "It's okay. When I was selected to come in, when I was a rookie, I used to stand here and watch the professionals inside the group like you." The male lead was curious. "Are you looking forward to the future?" The bald man suddenly became perverted. "No, I thought they were very arrogant at the time. I wanted to tear them all apart." The male lead was stunned. Were the company's professionals so perverted? At this time, the bald man saw a woman walking over. He greeted, "Hi, Wenna, are you on duty today? Do you want to have dinner together tonight?" Wenna directly pulled out a gun and held it against the bald man's face. "Wen, if you harass me again, I'll skin you alive, just like that pervert I packed up a few days ago." The bald man walked away convinced. The woman looked at the male lead and said, "Shani, a boy named Shin Haoyu is looking for you. His identity has been verified. Should I let him in? He's my classmate. Please let him in." The woman turned around to bring the person in, but the male lead said that there was no need to trouble her and he would bring the person in himself. The woman turned around and said, "The former supervisor ordered that you seem to be in trouble right now, and we have to protect you." The male lead had to stop. Soon after, Chen Haoyu was brought in. As soon as he came in, he excitedly kept talking. The male lead pressed the elevator and prepared to take him around. Just as he entered the elevator, he received a text message. It was sent by Xiaomingyu. When you were attacked by an anomaly in the hospital, a nurse did witness everything, but he's gone. I only found a faceless body, but it's not him. Who exactly is being verified? Then he sent a video. Then he sent a few photos. So I reinvestigated the people around you. This person was acting very strangely in the school yesterday morning. He seemed to be looking for something. The male lead's eyes widened. It was Chen Haoyu. He was looking for me. What was I doing yesterday morning? That's right. I went to the nightmare world. So in this surveillance video, Chen Haoyu went all over the teaching building but couldn't find me. What was he looking for me for? At this time, Chen Haoyu looked back at the male lead. What's wrong? Brother Yi. This was the last message the male lead received. If you encounter him, please be careful.
Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you next time.